This session is called A/B testing and conversion optimization. And today you're going to be learning specifically about how you can optimize the conversion rates of your pages. So as you know, getting traffic can be incredibly difficult. So the last thing that you'd want to do is let that traffic just bounce or convert at a very low rate. Let's say, for example, you're getting 1,000 visits a day to a product page because you've been working your tail off doing some search engine optimization. But that page is only converting at 1%. Only 1% of those visitors are going and purchasing. But what if, by running a simple test, you could bump that conversion rate to 2 or maybe even 3%? So you've just doubled or maybe even tripled your revenue with no increased traffic. So you can imagine why this would be so important to run these tests early in the process. You don't want to spend all this time getting tons and tons of traffic and throwing it at a page that doesn't convert well. So by conversion optimizing your pages, especially early in the SEO process, as your traffic grows, you're going to be getting far more revenue, far more results from that traffic. So in this session, you're going to learn about 2 types of conversion testing, what you can test, and one of the tools you can use to get it done. Okay, so first I wanted to give you an example of what types of testing there are. Now, this is our little demo site here, and we've got a sample page that isn't really selling anything, but it's great for the purposes of showing you how to do this. Dog training guide, only $37. Click here to buy. So the 2 types of testing that you can do are A/B testing and multivariate testing. Now today we're going to focus on A/B testing because Google Analytics has a wonderful free tool built in for that. However, I wanted to explain to you the differences of the 2. Now A/B testing is where you create 2 separate versions of a page, and they can have one change, multiple changes. And when a visitor comes to your site, they're shown one or the other. And what happens is over time, as visitors are shown one or the other, you can see which one is going to convert higher. So it's a real easy way to kind of put 2 pages up head to head and say, which one's going to convert better? Now, a multivariate test, you can actually write a few different headlines, put in a few different images, a few different buttons, even test a few different prices, all on the same page, and all those variations will create endless amounts of variations. You'll end up with hundreds sometimes of different variations. The only issue with that is that you have to have a lot of traffic for a multivariate test to give you any real definitive answer as to what is converting well. So for what we want to do, we're going to create a simple A/B test, put 2 pages up against each other, and see which one is going to convert better. So let's pop over to Google Analytics. Now, Google Analytics didn't always have this feature. It was actually called Google Website Optimizer, and it was a completely separate tool. And it was actually pretty clunky and not that easy to use. But now, if you just click Standard Reporting, click Content, and then click Experiments, you're brought to this experiment page. And the first step is to simply enter the URL of the page that you want to improve the conversion rate for. And we're going to use this one here. Okay, so this is the URL to our dog training guide, and we'll click Start Experimenting. Okay, so now we're on the Create New Experiment page here. Say A/B test, just name it whatever you need to. And we have our original page, which is of course the control of the experiment. And then we have the ability to add multiple variations. So what we need to do is come back over here to WordPress and create a variation of this page. So we'll go to Pages, and we'll open our original here. And what I'll simply do is add a new page, open in a new tab, and I'm just going to copy and paste everything over here real quick. Only takes a second. And you can see WordPress is smart enough that even though the title is the same, it puts a little 2 on the end. So we do have a unique URL. And I'll click Publish. Now let's say, for example, we wanted to test a few things. Well, instead of guide, let's call it handbook. And maybe instead of click here to buy, we can say click here to buy now. Simple changes like that can actually have quite a huge impact. So of course, for your products and for your marketing, you're going to want to think about, how can I rewrite this headline? How can I rewrite this call to action? And what do I feel is going to work? And then create a quick experiment, and you can have data to actually prove your point. So let's go back over here. and we have a variation. So what we need to do is open our recently created second version of the page in a new tab. We can see it's a different headline and a different call to action, and we'll put it in here. Okay, so now we have two variations of the page, and very quickly we can figure out which one's going to convert higher, which is wonderful because simple changes can have huge impacts. Now you can add multiple variations. This is still technically an A/B test and not a multivariate test, because multivariate tests tend to switch out elements on one given page using some pretty complicated code. But Google Analytics, I feel, has a really great solution here, because you can simply add 2, 3, 4 different variations if you want to test 3 or 4 different headlines. And it is a good idea. It's a good best practice to only test one thing per experiment. You may only want to test your headline, because when you start testing more than one thing at a time, you might muck up the results a little bit. So that's just something to keep in mind. But the good news is this new Google Analytics tool is very, very user-friendly, and I'm a big fan of it. So I'm very glad that they made it easy for all of us to use. So let's click Next Step. So now that we've created the different pages, created the different variants, we need to tell Google what defines a conversion. And what we do is set up a goal. Now, we've already talked about setting up goals and setting up revenue tracking in our other video. So you can look at that to learn more about setting up a goal. For now, what we'll do is simply click Purchase, which is the goal we set up in the other video. So what this will do is it'll tell Google Analytics when they're shown version A or version B, and then they hit this goal, we know that that defines a conversion. So we'll let them know what a conversion means to us. So we'll click Next Step. Now, this next step, you do have to add a little bit of JavaScript to your page. So if you're unfamiliar with this, I definitely recommend checking this second option here, where it'll actually allow you to send a quick little email to your webmaster or somebody who you can trust to handle web code. That way, they can add it for you and you're not going to have any trouble. Today, I'm going to go ahead and add this experiment code myself because I'm very familiar with WordPress. So the first thing to do is to just copy this code. And then what we're going to do is add this code to the original page, not the variant, the original page. So I've copied that code. We'll come back over here. This was the original URL. Definitely want to make sure. Now in WordPress, I'm actually running a plugin that makes this very easy. So if you're on WordPress, this is what you'll want to do. The plugin is called Hi-Fi, which means header and footer injection. And it allows you to stick some code in the head, which is exactly where we want it for this test. So I'll go ahead and paste it right there. You can see this is the code we just grabbed from Google Analytics, and that'll put it in the open head tag just on this page, which is exactly what we want. So we'll click Update, come back over to Google Analytics, and click Next Step. And it's going to look, and there we go. So the first original page both has the Google Analytics and the test code, and the other variation has the Google Analytics code installed, and that's all we need. So that's all you need to make sure that it's going to work. So we can click Excellent. Now let's take a look and preview this experiment. So here is our original, and here's our variation. It's as simple as that. Dog training handbook, dog training guide, and then click here to buy, and click here to buy now. Relatively simple process, certainly a lot easier than it used to be in the old Google Website Optimizer. So that's it. That's all you need to do to set up a great multivariate test or A/B test. And again, you can set up multiple versions. If you have 5 different headlines and maybe your marketing department doesn't know which one's going to work best, perfect. It's a perfect time to do a test. Set up 5 different versions of the page, all with the 5 different headlines, run an experiment, throw a bunch of traffic at it, and very, very definitively, you will know which of those headlines is going to be the most effective at converting your visitors to purchasers. So there's only one last step, which is run experiment. Click that and it'll start collecting data. Now from here on forward, we just need to wait and allow some traffic to come in and collect. And from there, it'll tell us which variations are converting at what different rates. And after we feel that we've had enough data come through, enough visitors, we can make a decision and simply publish the winning version live and either archive or delete all the other variations. Well, that's the end of this session. That's everything that you need to create a great multivariate test. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.